Alright, today's video, we're going to be talking about energy vampires, energy dissipation, and energy leaks. I want to start off by saying, at times, we can be our own worst enemies. We can't always point the finger at other people. See, when you're always looking to blame somebody else, that's very low vibrational. That's really coming from a guilty consciousness because you haven't took the time to go do your shadow work, go look yourself in the mirror, and go ask yourself, why haven't I put forth the effort to overcome the negative aspects of myself? Or how come I don't show up for myself a little more? Or why do I let other people override me? You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, because you're conscious of it or you are conscious of it and you still let them get away with it. And see, over here, we don't do bullies. That's one thing we don't do is bullies. So we won't be bullying ourselves and we won't be letting nobody else bully us. We're going to make conscious decisions. We're going to think before we speak. We're going to think before we act. We're going to think before we make a move. Reaction versus respond. We want to respond peacefully and positively. We don't want to react from negativity or emotion. And what emotion are we talking about? We're talking about the ego. You know what I'm saying? We want to apply effort, willpower to do the right thing. So let's go ahead and get started. So energy vampires, that could be anybody coming to anything, any person, place, or thing coming to siphon your energy, right? Coming to take from you. Now the thing is, you need to be conscious of, are you pouring into other people, or are you letting people, places, or things siphon your energy? See, now we gotta ask ourselves, are we overextending or are we giving from overflow? Can we afford to be giving to other people at this time? Now we're not saying you gotta be greedy and just hold on to all your energy, because remember, greed is a sin, so we just want to make sure we're doing everything in moderation. But we also want to remember John 10-10. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And sometimes the enemy can be ourselves. It can be people, places, or things around us. It can be so far external that it has a ripple effect all the way back into our being. So we can't see that far. You know, we can't look at the patterns from that extent at times because we already pouring our energy, our attention into things that has to do with our ecosystem, with our main livelihood, right? So we need to remember attention leads to intention. So if we gave more attention to those things, then we'd be more conscious of it. But because we have to do things, we have to work, we got family, we got to take care of ourselves, we can't always pour attention into those external things that are so far out there, you know what I'm saying? So remember, but moderation is key. And we get addicted to what we do on a regular basis. Attention leads to intention. So we want to be mindful of if we giving energy to people, places, or things and feeding the ego, right? Because if we feeding negative energy, then what is the negative energy doing? That's a demon that we just giving more energy to, and the demon getting bigger and bigger. The demon is actually getting more and more control because we've become addicted. We basically telling our subconscious mind that this is what we like. Because you gotta remember, love is presence. So love also means giving. So if you're giving your energy, then you are receiving something in return. Now, somebody can be taking your energy from you, right? They can be siphoning your energy. So what are you receiving? Less energy. So you convince your subconscious mind that I'm of joy, I have gratitude for receiving less energy in whatever shape, form, or fashion. That's what you're telling yourself, because you gotta remember the subconscious mind doesn't know good from bad, it just is. Whatever you are telling the subconscious mind, it's just taking it in, it's gonna give you more of that because remember, we have an addictive nature. So what you love, you get more of. Be conscious of that. So energy dissipation, energy leaks, energy vampires, it all has to do with the same thing. So let's just say that our potential energy, we're in the structure and flow of doing something, right? Something positive for our own life. You gotta remember that with potential energy, it creates kinetic energy, which comes with a push and pull, right? So because of that push and pull, it's going to cause energy dissipation to come. That means friction is coming, resistance is coming. The thing is, are you going to allow that friction to override you, or are you going to allow that resistance to override you? See, that becomes an energy leak. Now, I'm leaking energy into another direction that has nothing to do with my purpose, that has nothing to do with my divine seven aspects of awareness, with my thoughts, words, actions, ideas, or the people, places, and things that I'm choosing, that I'm consciously choosing to be a part of, because this is the manifestation that I am putting forth into my life. Because you gotta remember, we always manifesting. So we're always in alignment with something. So you can easily fall out of alignment with one thing and wind up in alignment with something totally different. It's not that difficult. But if you're not conscious of it, then it's just happening. So now you're not fully in control of your life. So that's a duality: self-control versus willpower. We want to have the willpower to maintain control, to maintain self-control over our reality, conscious and effectively, so we can make sure that our manifestations are working in our favor. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to be leaking energy, right? So when we're leaking energy, we basically telling people, places, or things that you can siphon this energy now. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not pouring energy into things that have to do with what I'm looking to manifest into my reality. I'm now siphoning energy into potential negative aspects. I'm reacting, you know what I'm saying? And if I'm reacting, then something is siphoning my energy. Now I'm creating, whether I want to or not, somebody, someplace, something to become my energy vampire, siphoning my energy. So if I don't have enough energy to be given to those, now remember, moderation is key. But if I don't have enough energy to be given to them, then that means I'm turning them into an energy vampire and I'm overextending. Now, overextending leads to resentment. It leads to low vibrational states of resentment, which is tied to our fear, which is tied to I'm trying to control something. So now it's going to lead to this fear. And guess what? Hate is a byproduct of fear and resentment. And fear and resentment is the opposite of love. So now because I'm giving and overextending at the same time, now I'm creating resentment within myself. So now I'm hating the thing that I'm giving to. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm not taking control. I'm not giving from overflow. And why am I not giving from overflow? Because I'm not moving in moderation. I'm not pouring energy into people, places, and things that are positive. Now I'm feeding egos. And see, egos can come in many forms. Egos don't necessarily got to mean a person. It could be a place. It could be a thing. Let's just say that every person, place, or things, even yourself, your thoughts, words, actions, and ideas, all have an ego. And that means that this ego is either negative or positive. You see what I'm saying? So if it's in the negative, then that means you're feeding a demon. A positive ego is being used for spirit-guided truth. That means I'm using my energy to be guided by the truth, to be guided by God's truth in the right direction. So I want to make sure that I'm giving from overflow and I'm only giving to positivity. You see what I'm saying? Or balance. It's going to have some balance. See, everything isn't always positive and negative. Sometimes it's just about balance. But you want to make sure that you understand these things and you're not confused about it when it's happening. So if anything like this is occurring in my life and I'm confused about it, I want to go to my highest frequency of peace, be still. I'm gonna be still. I'm gonna think before I make any moves, any thoughts, words, actions, ideas, deal with any people, places, or things. I want to think about it. I want to ask God, truth, is this positive for me? From my perspective, not from their perspective, because their opinions don't matter right now, unless I'm giving from overflow, unless I'm pouring energy. And if I'm pouring energy into somebody else, and their opinion is based off of their negative ego, then I need to fall back and peace be still, and I can give communication from a place of love or not. Because if I gotta communicate, if I gotta set a boundary, and you don't understand that I'm setting this boundary from a place of love, then you're moving from your ego, so I should distance myself from you. I still communicate, but I don't have to overextend by what? Arguing with you. I don't have to overextend by what? Over-explaining myself. Because if I'm over-explaining myself, what am I doing? I'm leaking energy that I could be doing something totally different with at this point. So, everything is positive versus negative. So you want to overcome the darkness within the divine seven aspects by always looking at it from, is this positive? Is this negative? It can be balanced in between. Like, see, balance in between, that's kind of like saying moderation. Like, it might be a little negative, but I can make positive from it. I can send a trajectory of things into a positive direction. I don't have to avoid it. See, when we avoid it, see, that's from a place of fear. So if it's negative and I don't like this negativity, I can detach positively. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm leaving room for that negativity to fall into alignment with me because I'm moving from the highest frequency. And when you're moving from the highest frequency, everything else got to fall in line, or it's gonna have to distance itself from you. And if it got any love from it, I'm saying it because it could be a person, place, or thing. If it has any love for you, then it's going to attract to your peaceful state. You know what I'm saying? Your peace be still state. So because love is below peace, but it's also positive, you know what I'm saying? So now you're attracting it towards you. Now look, if it's not attracting towards you and you have to chase it, then you feeding that ego. If you feeding the ego and negativity, then what are you doing right now? You need to detach from that. You need to detach from that version of yourself that felt like you had to do it. You need to go do some shadow work at this point. Ask yourself, why am I feeding negative egos? Why am I doing that? Because if I'm feeding negative egos, I'm telling my subconscious mind that I like to give to negative egos. And if I like giving to negative egos, then I'm creating this addictive nature within myself where I'm going to consistently be giving to negative egos. And if I'm consistently giving to negative egos, then I'm no good for myself. I should be in shame and I should detach from that version of myself. So I need to go sit, peace, be still, and detach, isolate, fast from anything that has to do with that version of myself until I can heal, because time heals all wounds and I can get back to a better version of myself and start pouring positive energy back into myself first, which, matter of fact, God first, because this is God's truth. God first, then myself, then my family of like-minded or bloodline, people, places, or things around me. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be conscious about my thoughts, words, actions, and ideas when I'm doing that. See, I say words a lot because I need y'all to understand. This is why I say don't use cuss words at times. Because if you're not already being that best version of yourself, you have no room for any kind of negativity to come in. You know what I'm saying? You want to be conscious of that. Your thoughts. You don't have no room to be letting these negative thoughts just be dwelling on negativity, because you create a ripple effect. You create that addictive nature within yourself. And what you put in is what you put out. That's the Star of David. That's the law of correspondence. So you want to overcome your own ego first and get back to your peaceful state. So what we do, we detach. Peace, be still. That's why we say be still and know that I am God. You know what I'm saying? Because God is the truth. So now when I be still and know that I am God, I know that if I'm thinking from a point of positivity, from a point of conscious positivity, that's the Christ right there. You know what I'm saying? That's Jesus Christ within me, the Son of God. So now I'm embodying that Son of God version of myself, which I might not be able to hold on to for too long. But if I'm conscious and I'm giving this my attention, which is going to lead to intention, guess what? Over time, I'm going to become addicted to this nature of myself, to the God nature within me. You know what I'm saying? To the God power within me. You know what I'm saying? And then now, that's when you can start giving gratitude, because now you're receiving. Now you're receiving that God power. So now you can say, thank you, God, for allowing me to be. Thank you, God, in me. You know what I'm saying? That's what we like to say that. So that's just telling ourselves that we are grateful for this version of ourselves that we are creating each and every day, and we're going to keep showing up. You know what I'm saying? So we're not dissipating energy. We're not allowing a friction or resistance that's based off of people, places, or things, ego, to come override us. You know what I'm saying? While we got the trajectory of our life headed in a positive direction. No, we're not leaking energy in that direction. But guess what? We don't mind pouring energy into people, places, or things that has to do with positivity, helping us with the trajectory of our life headed towards the manifestation of what we create. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, this is the manifestation of the sons of God. And I'm moving as a son or daughter of God in this very moment. So if you can't match that energy, if you can't align with that, then I'm gonna set my boundary. You can respect it. And if you overstep it and disrespect it, I'm gonna distance myself from you. I'm gonna peacefully detach, because I won't let you bring me shame. See, it's two things. If you bring me shame, I'm detaching. If I'm trying to get away from somebody disrespecting me, people, places, or things, or myself, I'm gonna detach from people, places, or things, or myself. You know what I'm saying? Real talk, because that's how that goes. That's how it's gotta go. So your ability to respond is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to respond correctly. That's response versus react. Remember that. Potentially peace and positivity. I need you to understand this. When you respond a certain kind of way, now you're telling yourself that I took time to think before I speak, think before I act, think before I think. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I'm coming from a point of positivity, peace and positivity. Because look, reactions are based on emotions, and I want to make sure that my emotions, if I don't want to react from a negative emotion, because negative emotions cause imbalance and lead to potential negativity in my life. And I don't need that in my life, so I don't want to react negatively or emotionally, because now my thoughts, words, actions, and ideas that I'm putting out there might be negative, and I don't want to create no negative ripple effects. I don't want to be sinning. That's sinning right there, because now I'm pushing that off on you. And look, if you're not healed and I'm pushing that off on you, I ain't making you no better version. I ain't making you no better person. I'm feeding your negative ass ego. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying? But this is what we getting at. So remember, I want to be present at all times. Let's have compassion for myself. I'm having compassion for God. Matter of fact, I know that God forgives me, so I'm going to forgive myself, because I'm moving as a son of God. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to forgive myself for all the negativity. I'm going to forgive myself for every time I mess up, knowing that at times I might miss my mark. I might miss my mark, but guess what? Because I'm conscious of that and I want better for myself, I'm gonna keep showing up for myself. That's courage right there. That's having courage. I ain't no coward. That's a duality. Courage versus coward. Are you a coward? You gonna show up for yourself. You gonna let people keep bullying you. You gonna keep bullying. You gonna let the shadow version of yourself keep bullying you or not? Or you gonna show up? You gonna let the high version of yourself come tell the shadow version of yourself, nah, it ain't going down like that. So if you wanna ride with me, you gonna have to integrate with this truth and this light and this understanding and this peace and this joy and this happiness positively. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're doing. We're gonna tell lack to get back. And we're gonna say we're moving from a state of abundance and joy. That's what we're doing right now. So this is understanding versus confusion. If I'm confused about it, if I'm clouded, my mind is clouded and I ain't making no moves. If I don't understand the trajectory, if I can't look at the pattern and see that this might head in a positive direction, I'm a peace be still real quick. Straight like that. So this is potential energy right here. So because I want to make sure that the pattern headed in the right direction, I'm looking at the potential energy of what could happen. Is this going to pour energy into me? Because at times, if I'm just giving and not receiving, then what that means, I'm telling myself that I like to give and I don't like to receive. I like to give and I like to let people take from me without giving me nothing in return, right? That's not what we do. That's just like me making these videos, right? So when I make these videos, I ain't charging nobody. This is for y'all to see. But at the same time, guess who else get to watch it? I get to watch it. So if I catch myself going back into the darkness, when it's time for me to overcome the darkness, I can go watch myself. So guess what? The best students are the best teachers. So I'm gonna teach them. I'm gonna do the best I can to make sure that when I'm giving, it's as simple as it needs to be. Because if I'm in a cloudy state, I want to be able to understand too. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's how I receive. So and I'm overjoyed knowing that, man, I put that out there for myself. If anybody gonna see it, I'm gonna see it. So check this out. Who is the enemy that's coming to steal, kill, and destroy? That's negativity. That's them demons right there. That's them archons. You know what I'm saying? The Gnostics call it archons. That's why I put that G inside that star, baby. That's knowledge right there. You know what I'm saying? They understood that these archons was this subtle negative energy, these tiny demons, big tiny demons that you can feed that live within everything. Everything is either positive, negative, or neutral. But it becomes a demon when it creates negativity. So those are the archons. So these are the enemies. These enemies live inside of people, they live inside of places, everything from the food you eat, the stuff you watch on TV, anything you put into your synapses is creating a neuroplasticity in your mind. So now the neuroplasticity is either positive or negative. So now you either regenerate with tonic or you dissipate with toxic. You see what I'm saying? We don't want no toxics. So we look at that like a point of chemical versus natural. If it's chemically induced, you know what I'm saying? If it's been created by man, and we know that man sometimes creates things that are negative for us and we get addicted to it, what we want to do, we want to detach from that and get back to a natural state of being. And God said the most natural thing I can do is peace, be still. Do you understand? From a point of enlightenment, straight up, straight like that. Be still and know that I am God. Remember that. Facts. So check it. I think we went through everything. Love is giving, joy is receiving, overcome the darkness. Overcome the darkness. That means I'm not dealing with it no more. That's your duality. Dealing versus overcoming. I'm not dealing with it. I'm going to overcome. Why? How am I going to overcome? I'm going to stand on business. When I know I'm heading in a positive direction, I know the trajectory of things are heading in a positive direction, I'm not feeding on negativity. I'm not responding to no negativity. I'm not reacting to no negativity. I'm going to set my boundary. If you try to overstep that with more negativity, I'm going to distance myself. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. You won't even see me coming because guess why? Because I'm